I'm pleased to welcome my guests today, Rick Gomez with Cisco and Mark Huang with Panduit. Thank you very much for joining me. I appreciate the opportunity to spend some time with you. Thanks again.
Thank you.
I wondered if I could start with you, Mark. Can you tell me a little bit about the partnership and relationship between Cisco and Panduit, the two companies?
Sure. Yeah, it's really all about our complementary capabilities coming together. Cisco's a thought leader in Ethernet switching and optics, and Panduit on the physical layer, the connectivity, everything in between. And combined, when you put us together, it's the end-to-end network infrastructure. And we partnered through many network technology transitions. For example, when Cisco launched Nexus and came out with FCOE capabilities, when Cisco launched the BiDi optic, Panduit collaborated and created our signature core OM4 plus fiber, which is optimized for BiDi, extended performance and reach. And even with software-defined networking, with the launch of ACI, as networks in the data center collapsed from the 3-tier architecture into a 2-tier architecture. At the end of the day, it's really about that complementary collaboration. And together, we really believe that we deliver the most reliable network infrastructure for today that scales for tomorrow.
Thank you, Rick.
Yeah, I think Mark hits it right on the money. The synergies between Cisco and Panduit really allows to provide customers the expert advice they need as they're moving towards 400 gig, 800 gig, and even beyond that. And what impresses me the most is listening to Cisco and Panduit experts discuss the latest in technology and how we optimize it for our customers' use in the now and in the future. And the cool part is that for our partners, we really appreciate Panduit's approach to enhancing Cisco's partners' capabilities with enablement as well as very profitable programs.
Thank you, Rick. Thanks to you both for that explanation. I'd like to dive into some technical talk now, if I could. We're hosting a program called Data Center Week. Thank you very much for being part of that. During that program, you're going to discuss breakouts, and wondered if I could ask you a little bit about that technology, sort of the breakouts themselves, a little bit about what they are maybe, but primarily why they are important in a data center environment. Rick, wondered if I could ask you to begin
Sure.
the discussion on breakouts.
To me, breakouts are one of my favorite things. And it's really simple. Breakouts are important because they save money, space, and power. It's really a great sustainability story. And the funny part is that breakouts are not really new. We have been using breakouts at 10 gig, 25 gig very effectively. However, once you get to 400 gig, the effects on sustainability are very significant, since once you hit 400 gig, you can save about 6 watts versus the 4x100 gig solution. So that is huge savings when it comes to customers that deploy hundreds of 400 gig optics inside the data center. The other place where we see a tremendous impact for breakouts is in the transition of 10 gig NICs to 100 gig and 200 gig NICs. You know, the experts are saying to us that the transition from 10 gig to 100 gig NICs will occur somewhere in 2024, but we're seeing the first adopters engaging us now. So
Right.
Really critical to do it right by engaging Cisco and Panduit. You are bringing that expertise from the cabling, the hardware, and the optics to do it right the first time, instead of having to continuously break and fix and having cutovers that are very difficult. The breakout simplifies that migration to the faster optics.
Thank you, Rick. Mark, any comments about breakouts from the Panduit, the optical cabling standpoint?
Yeah, I think Rick covered it great. Just at a high level, it really is a great solution to enable scalable architectures to increase bandwidth density and do it cost effectively. And as Rick alluded to, that's the exciting part about this partnership is, deploying technologies like breakouts, it requires that end-to-end view, right? From the switching optics through the fiber infrastructure. And that's what we provide together is helping customers and partners navigate that complexity.
Thank you, Mark. If I could stay with you for a moment and switch gears a little bit in terms of questions and discussion, I wondered if we can think about your customers, your data center customers, as well as your partners on the installation integration front. Do you have guidance, general guidance for those customers and partners of yours specifically related to high-speed networks, which are, of course, prominent in the data center, but wondering if there's some general guidance for them out there?
Sure, great question. The one thing I'd say is plan for the future. As we all know, there's more pressure in data center environments on the network, and to not just think about the end-to-end network infrastructure you need today, but what is that going to look like in the future? When's that next migration? For example, if you deploy a 100 gig network and you're using breakout technologies, you're breaking out into 425 gig ports. What does it look like when you make that migration to 400 gig broken out into 100 gig ports? And some of the solutions that Rick and I have talked about, Cisco and Panduit, are coming together to help you optimize that migration. Just imagine using the same network infrastructure, the same fiber infrastructure for both 100 gig and 400 gig. That's huge cost and time savings and a huge competitive advantage for our customers.
Thanks very much, Mark. And Rick, wondered if you had anything to add to that commentary.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm right on with Mark. The savings that comes from avoiding that rip and replace are really important. And what we're noticing is what we expected, where customers are placing 100 gig legacy optics on 400 gig ports. And these optics are not 400 gig ready or even able to do the breakout up to 400 gig. So they will keep 100 gig optic on a 400 gig port, which really is underutilizing that port capacity. So the idea, and what I would recommend to most, is learn about 100 gig single lambda optics. Those are really critical to simplify the future migration to 400 gig. But other than the rip and the replace, I would say from my perspective, quality really matters. It's extremely important that you have the quality as a key perspective in your planning, because if you don't, you may have to do that rip and replace. Once you get to 100 gig and 400 gig, the impact of a failure is so critical that at Cisco, we are testing and validating to meet all the standards out there in optics. And of course, working with Panduit, we want to make sure that that occurs for the cabling. So at the end of the day, you can be working with us, considering that by leveraging our expertise in hardware, cabling, and optics, we can truly optimize that customer's journey to 400 gig and beyond that.
Thank you, Rick. If I could ask something of a follow-up to that, thinking still about your customers and your partners, this time though, with the idea of simplification. Wondered if I could ask you what you are doing at Cisco, and then later, Mark, if you would add Panduit's perspective, what the partnership is doing to help those partners and customers really simplify their optical network deployments.
I think that's a great question. And the idea of being able to bring the experts together, Cisco and Panduit experts, to really help the customers in optimizing that journey to 400 gig is key, but not just in one location or the other, really looking at the end-to-end network. And being that I lead the team for optics at Cisco in the sales process, what we're looking for is developing a program with Panduit where we can increase or offer to our customer that value by developing a program that looks at assessing the customer situation right now and being able, with that assessment, to define a way, that journey, and really help the customer with a true full-blown perspective of what they have today and how they can benefit as they look to the future of 400 gig and beyond.
Thank you, Rick. And Mark, if I could get Panduit's viewpoint.
Yeah, sure. In addition to what Rick described, where we're working with partners to deliver this capability, We've also taken that engineering horsepower from both organizations, really brought that together and delivered it through a lot of publicly available assets. So if you go to Cisco.com, just search on Panduit, or you go to Panduit.com and look for our landing page, which you can find on the front main page of Panduit.com, you'll find a whole host of assets, from white papers. For example, we recently launched a white paper that discusses deploying 100 gig at the server and the impact of the network infrastructure throughout a data center, a cloud environment, as well as user guides that simplify the connection of Cisco switching and optics to the Panduit fiber infrastructure, and helps customers and partners navigate, the options they have for network infrastructure, but also get to specifically the right part numbers for their bill of materials.
Excellent.
That user guide really helps. I totally recommend it. It's great work by Cisco and Panduit. So make sure that you take advantage of it. Simplifies things.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you for that resource. And wondered if I could conclude by asking, what's the next step that somebody can take? Where can somebody go? Who can somebody call to find out more, more detail and sort of further pursue what you've discussed here today?
Yeah, as mentioned before, we have the websites available. I think that's a great resource to familiarize yourself with the solutions and architectures Cisco and Panduit bring together. And then we also have available, I believe they'll be displayed, our LinkedIn contact information, if you'd like to reach out to Rick or myself. And of course, reach out to our sales force. Our sales force is here to help partners and customers leverage these optimized solutions and architectures.
Excellent. So
I agree. Please connect with us. That is the key effort. If you're into cabling, or you're a Cisco partner, Panduit partner, or anybody out there that's interested in the alliance and how we can help you in that journey to 400 gig, please engage with us. We'll be very happy to work with you to make it possible for you.
So the best next step for a quality connection is to make a connection, it sounds like. Excellent.
You got it.
That's right.
Rick Gomez with Cisco, Mark Huang with Panduit. Thank you very much for your time today. The audience appreciates it very much. Very insightful information and well done. I really appreciate this. Thank you.